Hey guys, MBSC1 again, and Regionals is coming up in a couple weeks here, so I thought I would give you guys one of the more popular decks I expect to see at Regionals. This is my Fairies deck list. I do it a little bit different than the common way because the common way has kind of become with Fan Club and with Megas, but my list is a little bit different, so I thought I would show you guys, and this is it. So I like to run a really thick Aromatisse line, so we run a 3-3. The reason I do such a thick line is just because of Lysander and Verse Seeker. Lysander is kind of the only catch ring effect right now, besides like Red Signal, that's big, but it's really prevalent, or it's like they're going to have it a lot of the time because of Verse Seeker, and you really just can't have these things out of play. You really need to have your Aromatisse in play, so I think it's important to run a thick line, and they can easily get knocked out, so that's why I run such a thick line. Then we have 2 Xerneas. This is a nice starter in the beginning, so you can use Geomancy to get some energy into play. You know, if you don't really use Geomancy at all, you can end up in situations where you don't have enough energy in play to use the attacks you want to use, or it just puts you in a bad place if you can't get enough energy into play early enough, so I like to run 2 Xerneas. I run 1 Manectric EX. This is mostly to deal with Yveltal EX, because that can be a problem. Assault Laser is just a good attack though for 2 energy. It does 120 if there's a tool, so that's pretty solid. So it's just a nice attacker, and plus it hurts Yveltal. And then run Yveltal EX. This is just to do a lot of damage. Yeah, it's pretty much just to do a lot of damage. If you have a lot of energy in play, you can pretty much one-shot anything depending on how much energy you have that you want to put on it, but can do a lot of damage. Y-Cyclone's also pretty useful. It's just another type attacker. It's just solid. 1 Mewtwo. The reason we have 2 Pokemon that essentially do the same thing is this one doesn't take Rainbow. So to use this one, I have to have the Rainbow energy in play. But with this one, I can just use Fairy energy, which is really nice because Enhanced Hammer is pretty popular right now. And then the other thing is it's a Psychic type, so you can hit other Psychic types for weakness, which is a lot of the reason why I run so many different Pokemon that are so different types. It's just because like you can hit so many different things for weakness. Then 1 Suicune. This is a water type, which is nice. That's why I'm not running Sigilyph actually, so that I can have a water type too. Also because it has 100 HP instead of 90. But yeah, this is really good for hitting Landorus for weakness. Also good for just, you know, walling in the beginning to stall so that you can set up and stuff like that. Can tank a lot of hits from EXs because they do no damage to it. So. Then we run 1 Malamar. This is for the ability Hyper-Hypnosis, so it puts your opponent to sleep when you attach an energy to it. So what you can do is you can attach all of your energy to Malamar and then just move them somewhere else with Aromatisse. So Malamar is really strong in this deck because you can put your opponent to sleep every turn. But unfortunately there's so many things that can counter sleep, like Keldeo, mostly Keldeo. Most of the decks, a lot of decks run Keldeo right now. And then there's also Virizian's Verdant Wind. So pretty much every top tier deck except for Seismitoad, Donphan, and sometimes Mega Manectric decks have a really consistent way to get out of that sleep. But against the decks that don't have a consistent way to get out of sleep, Malamar can be really good because you can stop your opponent from attacking literally like half the time because whenever they stay asleep, they can't really do anything. Then we run 1 Landorus. This is kind of a debatable card to run in this deck. I like it personally just because I think Mega Manectric is going to be the biggest deck at Regionals coming up, in my area at least. It might not be for your area. I live in California, and up here I think Mega Manectric is going to be pretty big, so that's why I'm running the 1 Landorus. Also, the spread damage is nice, and it's a fighting type. Then there's 1 Virizian EX. I was debating between this and Keldeo, but I know some good players that are doing really well are going to be using a Lasers variant of Yveltal, and I don't want to be the guy that gets one-shotted by a Yveltal deck because I have Keldeo instead of Virizian to get out of poison. So for that reason, I'd rather just stop the poison entirely rather than, you know, rushing in and retreating to get rid of the poison. But the nice thing about Keldeo is you don't need Rainbow Energy to do that. So it's kind of a tough call, but right now I have Virizian. You could go with Keldeo instead. I kind of don't know which one's the right call, honestly. It's really hard to say. The nice thing about Keldeo is it can hit for Donphan for weakness, but we also have Suicune to do that, so it's kind of kind of iffy, but it's nice to have 2 attackers. They can hit Donphan for weakness. And then we have one, this is supposed to be an Aegislash, actually. I have a proxy as a Skarmory. Yeah, it's supposed to be Aegislash. I just don't have an Aegislash right now. I've just been borrowing it from people. But yeah, this is really nice because so many Pokemon run, or so many top tier decks run special energy, and with Aegislash you can't take damage from Pokemon that have special energy on them, so it can just really be a big pain for your opponent. And it can do some decent damage, not a ton, not a ton, but it can do some decent damage, while tanking a lot of hits because they have to use attackers that don't have special energy. So that is all the Pokemon. Cover a lot of different types, have a lot of one-ofs. But I know some Aromatisse lists run even more different Pokemon, and some run a 1-1 Mega Manectric or a 2-2 Mega Manectric. I just couldn't fit Mega Manectric, and I don't necessarily think it's going to be super helpful because I think a lot of Yveltal decks are teching against Mega Manectric anyway, and but I just don't think it's really necessary. And Pyroar is pretty much gone, so you know I just don't run it. But if you wanted to take out 1 card for a Mega Manectric, that wouldn't be too bad of an idea either. I could get on board with that. For draw support, we have 4 Sycamore, probably the best supporter in the game, really strong. I don't know why you would run any less unless you're running a bunch of evolutions. 4 N, super strong. Like I said, this deck doesn't really go too aggressive early games, so you can benefit from N a lot in the beginning. 3 Chorus. Chorus is really good in this deck because you run so many different basics. I think there's like 12, 13, maybe even 14, I don't know. But there's a lot, so Chorus is the best card for this deck. The best draw supporter for this deck besides N and Sycamore. Then there are 3 Verse Seeker. This is just to get back any of those, or these, because, you know, you need Lysander a lot. 2 Lysander. I'd like to run 3, I just can't really fit 3. Lysander is great because you run so many different types, so you can Lysander up whatever has that type weakness and hit it for weakness, or just whatever threats are on the bench. Lysander is just super strong. And then 1 Trump Card. Trump Card is really good in this deck. At first I was like, I don't know if I should run it, but now I realize it's super good in this deck because you can put back all your Max Potion and your Rainbow Energy. So Trump Card is like very important in this deck. I would definitely recommend it for every Fairies deck list. Then as for items, the A-Spec is Computer Search. Just super consistent, gets you whatever you need. Dowsing is kind of good, but I think Computer Search is definitely better. Scoop Cyclone is the only other like viable A-Spec right now, and I definitely would not suggest that. 1 Starling Megaphone. This is just to get rid of items in play. Gets rid of muscle bands, hard charms, just whatever. It's helpful. Also gets rid of tools on Garbodor, but I don't think Garbodor is going to be too big, and even if it is big, I don't think I'll be able to play the Megaphone anyway because people are going to be playing with Toad. So, just 1 Megaphone. I'd like to have 2, but I can't really fit it. 2 Muscle Band. I'd like to have 3, I can't really fit 3. 2 works though. I mean, honestly, it kind of hurts pretty bad only being able to run 2, but I mean, there's not a lot of room in this deck for items. 4 Fairy Garden. This is just so you can get that really consistent, be able to retreat whenever you want. You know, it's your only way to retreat, so you have to pretty much max it out. You could run 1 Darkrai too, but I don't like that it takes up a bench spot, and that's why I don't run Darkrai at all. Then 4 Max Potion. Max Potion is basically what makes this deck good. You can heal off all the damage they do, and then just move the energy back. So 4 Max Potion I think is really important. Also wins you the mirror match if you run more than your opponent. Yeah, so Max Potion is extremely powerful. If you've seen other Fairies lists, you've probably noticed that a lot of them run Fan Club, and I don't run Fan Club, and that's why I run 4 Ultra Ball instead of just like 3 or 2. I figured I would just max out my Ultra Ball count and then not run Fan Club because I don't really like Fan Club. I figure you're better off just drawing more and playing those supporters early game, because I haven't really had a problem getting any Pokemon out in my testing so far, and I think that you can pretty much get whatever you need without Fan Club. I don't really like Fan Club, but some people do, and I respect that way of doing this deck as well. It's just not for me. I think this version works better. That's just my opinion. And then for the energy, pretty simple. Just 4 Rainbow and 7 Fairy. You don't really need more than that. Even this could be considered a lot, but you could even go down to like this many, but at that point you are a little bit more vulnerable to hammers. So I never really find excuse me. I never really find myself needing this many energy, but it's nice so that you can have that high count to get it whenever you need it, because you don't really want to miss energy attachments. And then you can trump card it back too. So you could test one less fairy actually, but I think this is still probably pretty good. Also, the other reason you want to attach every turn is because of Malamar, so you can get that hypnosis going every turn. Alright, so that's my list. Thanks for watching. Like if you like the video, comment if you want to tell me something, and subscribe for more.